Hi, I'm the Property Alchemist, and I want to share with you 84th Street, a new story.
We were here June 17th. We had some notes that we wanted to address that we provided for in our latest submission, including light fixtures, details on where those would be located, garbage storage, also information in terms of the size of the units. There's a rear egress to the rear structure, the existing carriage house that we modified to be suitable for the fire department chief that we met with. And we also have some ongoing things with the historic review committee that we've also addressed. So I'll open it up to any questions or.
So, have you also addressed the fire department's concern about the 9/11 change of address of the carriage house?
We have that noted. We haven't filed that address change yet, but we have it noted. Questions?
Do we have any idea when DPU is gonna sign off on flow?
I'm sorry.
On the staff recommendation, DPU to sign off on flow calculations?
Yeah, it's typically will be required as part of the sewer permitting process. So they will need to do that prior to construction.
The owner is working currently with the town to upgrade the water lines
Okay.
for flow capacity.
So you have to go to the ZBA for a variance for your floor square footage?
So that has been, I think, somewhat of a confusion or debate, I would say. So we are complying with the front of house. We have an average of 742 square feet. We made a deliberate effort to make sure we were meeting that. Where this gets into, I think, some kind of undefined territory is the rear building right now, the carriage house, is effectively in disrepair. We are salvaging the alley exterior wall for historic purposes. But, you know, in speaking to the building department, it was my understanding that we were in agreement that effectively that building will be 90% demolished once we account for the foundation, new flooring, new roof. Essentially, when we're done doing the initial remediation work, it's effectively a new construction. As I understand it, in the zoning code, the 700 square foot rule, the intent of that was to, I think, prevent people from converting existing active buildings or active apartments and making them smaller. In our case, it's as if there will not be a building there when we begin construction. So we're asking that really that rear building be considered as such, as new construction.
I have a question. Have you submitted a demolition package?
To the building department?
Correct.
No.
And do you have anything in writing from the building department about your ongoing correspondences?
I was told that I would have something by the end of the week after I spoke with them again, after speaking with you. I'm looking to have that by week's end, some clarity on that. We will be taking all the necessary precautions that we would need to do a proper demolition and asbestos testing, etc.
So you plan on taking the top floor off this building, right?
I mean, it's effective when we're done with that, and it's kind of illustrated in one of these elevation drawings that we have in the package. When we're done with it, it will be a front wall,
Yeah.
you know. So I'm asking that really be considered that, you know, and it won't actually even be structurally relevant to the new building. We're keeping it for historic reasons, but it's a new building effectively.
What's the condition right now? You know, you can see from the street, right next to the Proctors, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, you can see from the street, so what's the condition all the way back to the alley?
yeah, currently, I mean, right now you can see the bricks are not in great shape facing the alley. They've sustained a lot of water damage and freezing, water freezing. You know,
Is it
the
gonna
floors
fall
are
down?
buckling. I don't think it's gonna fall down in the near future, but we are concerned about
Okay,
it.
so, you know, it would be reasonable to say we gotta clean it up and stabilize that. So particularly with the announcement today that the Proctors is gonna now go to the City Hall, that carriage house is actually adjacent, right, to the entrance from
That's
the
correct.
parking
Yeah,
garage
that's correct.
to the new City Hall. So it's important that, you know,
Yeah,
that kind of stabilizes,
correct.
instead of getting knocked down or
Yeah,
whatever. So,
yeah.
you know, it's cost, but
We,
I think it needs to look right there.
yeah.
I gotta chime in real quick, just because we weren't really made aware of the extent of the applicant's desire to demolish until this week, after staff reports were sent out.
Okay.
You know, usually we would notice adjacent property owners of a demolition for a historical resource like this. So our position, you know, absent any sort of input from the director of code, our position is that this is a modification or renovation of an existing structure. That being said, I'll leave it to you guys.
So we are saving the carriage house, correct?
Yeah, I mean, I think what Eric's referring to is our language says mostly demolished.
Whereas what you're really doing is taking it off the top of the 5-story building, is that right? Is that what
The 5-story building is an existing building. We're complying with the 700 square foot rule. That's apart from the carriage house, which is in disrepair, it's vacant. And we will be taking out the concrete slab, doing a new concrete slab, new concrete footing, new interior structural walls, new roof, new floor plate. I mean, it's a new building, you know.
Are you adding a floor to the front building, the 4th Street building?
We're not adding a floor. We are currently, there is a 5th floor there that is sort of sloped down towards the east, and so we're pushing that up and raising the building height by.
So I guess what, you know, where we're a little bit confused is
Yeah.
that the streetscape itself, it's not 5 stories on the street, correct? As you look at it, I think I've seen this from the parking garage, and you look down, it's odd, it does go up like this toward the back.
Yeah, there is 5 stories that are visible
From the street?
windows area from the street. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So it seems to me like there's a bunch of things. That's a historic district, right? So you're changing the height of a building in the historic district, correct? Have you talked to Chappelle?
Yeah, well, we reviewed this with the Historic Review Committee, and in terms of the sight line too, from the 4th Street, the visibility will remain the same. Because there is actually height there. It tapers back.
Okay.
So we've been through the historic board on this, and they've actually given us their blessing to do that. I think the real issue here is in the definition of that carriage house, which I would propose that, you know, it's a point of contention here, but I think it will continue to be in the future if there's not. I couldn't find any language really defining that threshold to where an existing building is no longer an existing building because it's effectively been 90% removed.